Hey everyone, Rayo here, and welcome back to episode 2 of Fractals Explained. In this episode, I will be focusing on the Nightmare Fractal. Keep in mind that the mechanics listed in this fractal are from the tier 4 perspective, so your experience could vary based on the tier you run. This fractal also has its own achievement category that I will be covering throughout this guide. This is a very lengthy guide, so if you'd like to skip ahead to a specific encounter or a specific achievement, check out the timestamps I've listed in the video description. Hope you enjoy. Upon entering the fractal, you will find a group of Toxic Alliance. Clear these mobs and move over to the doorway where you'll be reacquainted with the mysterious Asura Arc. Before moving on to the next encounter, there is an Asuran corpse tucked into the wall. Interact with this corpse to start the Retrieval Squad achievement. After the dialogue, the gate to the initial boss encounter will drop, and you will be required to kill a group of Watchwork mobs. This group of adds is easy to clear, but just keep these points in mind. Menders heal their allies, Horrors apply confusion stacks, Reavers daze and drop bombs, and the elite Watch Knight has a powerful Whirlwind Attack. If you're not careful, this could eat your Mistlock Singularity buff or down you. Once you clear the group of adds, you'll encounter the Multiform Ambulatory Mobile Artillery boss. This boss will be stationary for the first 66% of the encounter, but once the boss reaches 33%, it will become enraged, taking on a new set of skills while also becoming mobile. For the first 66%, the general idea is to stack tight, burn the boss down, break the bar when it's blue, and continue burning, but there are a few mechanics to look out for. The first attack to look out for would be the Whirlwind Attack. The boss will wind itself up, hold its peak position for about a half second, and then unleash a giant spin. If this hits, you will be knocked back, receiving damage and stacks of burning. Avoid this by dodging. The next attack would be the Dome. The boss will start charging up, an arc will appear with a dome placed in a random spot of the room. As you see the dome appear, run under it for protection, and once the orange AoE indicator reaches the rim of the dome, the arena will explode, instantly downing anyone outside of the dome or killing them if they're already downed. Once this attack finishes channeling, the boss will spawn an army of twisted horrors. Simply stack onto the boss and let them all run back to your group so you can cleave them down while burning the boss. Another regular attack throughout the initial 66% of this fight is the extending Aoe Rings. The boss will let down exploding Aoe Rings that will move outwards and then return towards the boss. During this phase, stand in between the boss and the first ring so you can keep meleeing the boss. Once the rings are returning, move back one ring explosion location. Doing this will avoid all of the explosions as well as be able to melee the boss throughout this mechanic. Make sure not to stand on top of the boss once the rings start returning, as he will spawn a small pool of gunk under him that will damage anyone standing inside of it. Once the boss reaches 33%, it will stand to its feet and become enraged. At the moment it stands up, it will start leaving large pools of gunk that will damage you when standing inside of them. As soon as you see the AoE for the pool start to channel, start running out of it, and make sure to avoid standing and running in these fields for the remainder of the fight. Should you ever find yourself in one of these fields, you can avoid the damage through blocks, invulnerability, and dodging. During this enraged phase, the boss will start to hone in on a single player. It will then leap into the air, slamming the ground, dealing heavy damage and launching out a shockwave. Simply dodge into the boss's landing location and you will avoid both the damage as well as the shockwave. The boss will then follow up with one of two attacks, both of which have very similar animations. Most of the time, the boss will follow up with the double arm sweep, followed by a 360-degree rotating AoE attack. The boss will swing his arms to the left, then back to the right, hitting multiple times each way. Immediately afterwards, he will turn 180 degrees and start slamming the ground multiple times in a clockwise motion, and the first hit of this clockwise motion will let out a shockwave. The most crucial part to avoid from this attack is the AoEs, so make sure you're not standing right behind him as soon as he finishes sweeping his arms. The other attack he may follow up with has a similar look to the arm sweeping, except it's much faster. When he does this attack, he will unload red orbs that will bounce multiple times. The only time this attack will trigger is when you're within melee distance of the boss, so if you kite him around, he probably won't proc this attack. After you clear the boss, you will move on to the capture point event. Tucked behind the wall in the hallway leading up to the capture points is a Norn corpse for the Retrieval Squad achievement. The first capture point area is simple. Clear the mobs and capture the two locations off to the side. Note that the capture points do not cap faster with more people inside of them, but you will need to outnumber your opponents in order to make capture progress. For example, if you're sharing the capture point with an enemy hallucination, you will either need to kill it or have one extra party member in the capture location to make progress on the capture bar. While capping these locations, the center orb will shoot out red orbs and blue orbs. The red orbs damage you and the blue orbs heal you for about 50% per orb. These blue orbs disregard the healing reduction from the agony debuff. Make sure you go out of your way to get these orbs. Another bit to note is that the orb in the center of these locations does not hurt if you touch it, but it will constantly pulse out a single agony stack, giving you no downtime from this debuff. Meaning, while inside the walls of the capture point, you will not be able to avoid agony damage, which will reduce your normal healing by 70%. It's crucial that you have appropriate agony resistance for this specific fractal. Once you complete these 2 locations, the wall to the second capture area will open up. There are 3 locations to cap here. To complete this area smoothly, capture the sides first, either one at a time with all party members going to each point, or split into 2 groups and capture both at the same time, and then capture the center location all together. Before splitting up to the sides though, clear the 3 vets in the center of the area, that way they don't follow you up to one of the side capture points. Once you're at one of the sides, clear the vet guarding the capture point. Once the side is captured, jump down and start capturing the center location. During this time, the 3 vets you killed initially may respawn. If they do respawn, just kill them, lure them out of the capture point, or outnumber them inside the capture point to finish capping it. There is an achievement here if you decide to capture the center location before the sides. The reason is because the side capture points will drop AoEs on the center capture point so long as they're active. I personally recommend doing this on a lower tier as there's no adds to deal with throughout this whole entire section, making it very easy to capture these locations. Once you complete this section, go under the western scaffolds to find a char corpse for the Retrieval Squad achievement. Leading up to the next boss encounter is 2 achievements. Jump along the debris to find the human corpse isolated on a broken ship, giving you 4 out of 5 corpse found for the Retrieval Squad achievement. The next achievement is to kill Fleshgorge. While you're on your way to the human corpse, before jumping on the tree root, stand on the edge of the broken beam, target Fleshgorge, and start ranging him down. Do not jump in the water at any point as it is poisonous, and if that doesn't kill you, then Fleshgorge probably will. He will charge at you and deal massive damage. After you get your achievement credit, run up the ramp and dodge the AoE explosions. Whoever makes it to the top first should run through the orange orb to deactivate the trap, making it easy for the rest of your party to climb up safely. Siax is the second boss encounter of this fractal. He remains idle the entire fight, but has a few key attacks that you need to avoid. The first mechanic is Caustic Barrage. This mechanic is conveniently Siax's first attack every single time you encounter him. He will reach towards the ceiling and unleash loads of bouncing red orbs in a rotating manner. During this time, his Defiance bar will be breakable. CC his Defiance bar and continue the fight. If you fail to break his bar, the arena will explode and your group will take damage equal to their max health, which will either eat your Mistlock Singularity buff or instantly down you. Next in line would be the Hallucination Spawning Aoe. Upon the start of the encounter, Siax will choose one person for the entire fight to drop this AoE onto. The AoE will have a large radius and a red circle channeling to the outer rim of it. Once the AoE fully channels, it will spawn 1 hallucination for every person standing inside of the AoE. It is absolutely crucial that you do not stand inside of this AoE once it channels, as the hallucinations that spawn drop strong AoEs that deal heavy damage as well as conditions. You have plenty of time to run out of the AoE, but if you're stuck inside, you can also block the AoE or dodge it. The next attack is the Poison Field. Siax will shoot the poison bomb at the furthest party member away from the boss. If everyone is stacked on top of the boss, then the poison field will land on top of your party. But if you have someone kiting the poison, it will always shoot it away from your group. Having a decent healer in the group should be enough to out-heal the damage the field does, but regardless of how good your healer is, never stand in the poison field once it's on the ground. If you're melee, stand out of it and do max range melee damage if needed. Throughout the fight, Siax will give everyone Vomit Toxin. The attack will initially do nothing, but it will give you a cone out in front of your character. Once the cone disappears, you will puke on any party member standing in that AoE. If the puke hits a party member, they will take damage and become sick again. When you're about to puke, turn your character away from everyone in the group, making sure that the attack misses. If everyone avoids puking on each other, no one takes damage and the mechanic goes away. Occasionally, Siax will spawn Volatile Hallucinations. These hallucinations will latch onto one party member and follow them until they reach their target. Once they do, they will explode. If you get hit by the explosion, you will take damage in heavy conditions. These hallucinations are very squishy. You can either kill them before they reach you, block their explosion, evade their explosion, or you can even blind them before they explode and the explosion will miss you. If you have a Necromancer in the party, use Epidemic on the boss and the conditions will instantly down any hallucinations coming towards the boss. Should you avoid being hit by the explosions of a volatile hallucination, you will earn the Volatile Evader achievement. On top of all this, Siax will use the same extending AoE ring attack that the first boss used. The pattern is the exact same as it was before, so you can avoid it in the same manner. Once you finish the fight, you can move on to the final encounter. Before teleporting over to the final platform, interact with a Sylvari corpse tucked into the wall to complete the Retrieval Squad achievement. Upon entering the final boss arena, you will find a blue orb in the center. Interacting with this blue orb starts the encounter, so make sure everyone in your party is ready before starting. As the fight is about to start, you can earn the achievement Another Goo Puddle by standing under Encelad's spawn location as he falls from his cocoon. He will crush you, instantly downing you, or using up your Mistlock Singularity buff if you have it. It's preferred that you earn this achievement on an easier tier, though if you'd like to earn it on a tier 4 encounter, just have your group /GG to reset the encounter as well as reset the Mistlock Singularity buff. Enceladus will initially spawn in a weak, sluggish form while only performing basic attacks. During this phase, your attacks will do massive amounts of damage as well. Once you get him down to 75%, he will go invulnerable and take his true form. Like Siax the Unclean, Enceladus adopts some mechanics from previous encounters of the Fractal, such as Nightmare Devastation, aka Ark's Dome, Vomit Toxin, and the Altar Capture points, which will happen at 66% health and 33% health. Enceladus will start off the fight with Ark's Dome. Handle this mechanic just like you would during the first boss encounter. Between all major mechanics, Enceladus will perform his basic auto attack, Serpent Strike, which damages and applies stacks of bleeding if you get hit. His other basic attacks include Tail Lash. He performs a semicircle AoE in front of him, damaging and knocking back anyone hit. Lunge. Enceladus will teleport to one side of the arena and dart directly across to the opposite side. This attack deals heavy damage, knocks you back, and applies a lot of bleeding. The amount of damage from this attack is nearly enough to finish a downstate player completely. You can easily sidestep out of this attack or dodge through Enceladus as he dodges across the arena. Nightmare Blast lets out multiple bouncing orbs that damage party members and multiply each time they bounce. To avoid this, stack near Enceladus and sidestep the initial bomb drop. The farther away you are from the boss during this attack, the more orbs you will have to dodge in the end, so try and stick close to him. Poison Cloud. Should the fight persist for a long period of time, Enceladus will let out 6 poison orbs, leaving 6 toxic fields on the arena. Simply avoid standing in these fields to avoid the mechanic. Aside from Ark's Dome, the first major mechanic introduced in this fight is Upswing. This mechanic is lethal if not handled properly and could easily cause a party wipe if not prepared for it. When Enceladus performs Upswing, he will teleport to a random party member's location, stabbing his swords into the ground. This AoE field delivers heavy damage and stacks of torment, produces a shockwave, as well as produces one undamageable hallucination at each party member's location that will perform the same exact attack minus the shockwave. This sounds like a lot, but avoiding it is very easy. When you see Enceladus start to perform the attack, dodge towards him and run clear out of the area you or another party member were standing in. Dodging into him not only avoids the damaging AoE, but dodges the shockwave as well, preventing you from getting knocked down. As for the hallucinations that spawn afterwards, they spawn at the location you and your party members were standing in as Enceladus started casting the initial strike. These AoEs are easy enough to sidestep, so sidestep them when you can, but if you're in a tough situation, don't hesitate to use your dodge. Keep in mind that you can be hit by your party members' hallucinations as well. 5 impacts from a hallucination is enough to down any player, regardless of your build, and if the initial hit doesn't kill you, the torment applied from these attacks definitely will. Keep all of these mechanics in mind while fighting Enceladus down to 66%. Once he reaches 66%, he will become invulnerable and the capture point phase will start. You will notice at the start of this phase that the arena will get a green gunk field lining the outside, making the fighting area a little bit smaller. Treat this phase similar to the capture point encounter in the middle of the Fractal. The difference here is that there are 5 locations and no adds to fight, but there are AoEs that will damage you on top of the red orbs being shot out from the center orb. For this phase, split up so one person is at each capture point. Do not stack and heal through the damage. Doing this will more than likely end up killing you. Instead, rely on the blue orbs that get shot out occasionally. As I mentioned earlier, these orbs heal you for massive amounts of health, while also ignoring the 70% healing reduction from the agony debuff that you cannot get rid of. You should be going out of your way to get these orbs to stay alive, even if you have to run through a couple red orbs to get them. Last thing, if a party member downs or dies during this phase, leave them there. Trying to resurrect someone during this phase will be nearly impossible with the healing reduction from Agony, because Agony also nerfs your healing received while in down state. Trying to resurrect somebody will likely kill you in the process. Just keep in mind that 1 downed body is much better than 2 downed bodies, but fret not. During this phase, you get the Determination buff, which will resurrect everyone in your party if you successfully complete this phase, even if they're all completely dead. Once you complete the phase, you'll move on to the second burn phase. This phase contains all the same mechanics from the initial phase, some becoming more potent, as well as adding a few more attacks. Tail Lash now releases a bouncing orb similar to Nightmare Blast, Arc's Dome now has a shorter window to get under the dome, and this phase now includes Vomit Toxin, which functions the same as it did during the Siax encounter. New attacks include Caustic Grasp. Encelis will let out a large AoE circle, and once it fully channels, it will pull in any party members to him, damaging them and knocking them down. Tormenting Blast. Encelis will cover half of the arena with a purple AoE that will inflict damage, knockback, and torment when hit. The attack takes place in 2 single quadrant hits. To avoid this attack, either run through Encelis so you're behind him or dodge one of the chunks. Once he unleashes the hit, it's safe to stand in the purple area. The purple area is just a graphic and doesn't inflict any lingering damage like poison fields do. Keep an eye out for these new mechanics as you burst Encelis down to 33%. Once you hit 33%, you will encounter the second capture phase. Treat this phase similar to the initial capture phase. There are more AoE field bombs in this phase compared to the first encounter, so remember to really make use of those blue orbs that spawn. If you complete either the 66% capture phase or this 33% capture phase in under 30 seconds, you will earn credit for the 30-second seizure achievement. Once you complete this phase, you will move on to the final 2 burns. From 33 to 15%, Encelis will have the same mechanics as the second burn phase. After you get him down to 15% though, he will completely cover the area in gunk and restrict you to a small dome in the center of the arena. Although there is a lot of visual clutter on your screen, getting to this phase means you pretty much have it in the bag. Once you're restricted to the dome, stack with your party directly in front of Encelis and damage him down. While doing this, angle your camera directly at the floor above the arena and look out for the red arrows that will appear under your feet. These arrows indicate a hallucination is about to dart across the dome in that direction, knocking anyone in its path outside of the safety of the dome. To avoid these arrows, simply sidestep them and continue damaging the boss. Continue this until you kill the boss, and congratulations, you've completed the Nightmare Fractal on Tier 4. Now that was quite a lot of information, but I really hope that this comprehensive guide could clear up any sort of gray area or haziness that you may have had with this fractal. If you enjoyed this guide, make sure to follow my series Fractals Explained, where I will be creating in-depth, comprehensive guides for every single fractal dungeon. A link to this playlist is in the video description or in the card at the top right corner of this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, then make sure to subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell icon to be notified of any new videos that I post. Once again everyone, I'm Rayo, and I'll see you next time.